Howdy. My name is Nonat, and my room is not clean, my body is not showered, and my hair is almost as greasy as Asmongold's personality. But there's a reason I'm making this video right now looking as gross as I do. And that's because less than an hour ago, I got access to War of Immortals. It is here, the 2 new classes, tons of new items and monsters, and most importantly, the Mythic System, and all of its secrets have been revealed. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the basics of what you get when you pick up War of Immortals, all the different chapters, what those chapters offer. This isn't going to go into any heavy detail. I'll be showing off some examples of stuff, and I'll be giving a few opinions here and there, because honestly, I'm pretty opinionated about this book. Paizo made some decisions which are not inherently wrong decisions, but I don't know if I fully agree with them, and I'll be curious to hear what y'all think in the future videos I'm gonna be releasing. So for now, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so that you don't miss the rest of the War of Immortals content. Let's get into it. So right off the bat, they don't waste any time. In the first chapter of War of Immortals, you get the 2 brand new classes, the Exemplar and the Animist. Starting off is the Animist, a brand new spellcaster with a very interesting and slightly intimidating spell progression table. This is because the Animist, alongside their own spellcasting capabilities, attune to a specific apparition, which is going to give them different spellcasting capabilities. Every single day during daily preparations, you are going to pick 2 apparitions to attune to, which are going to give you different skill proficiencies and different spells you'll have access to in your repertoire. The Animist is a spontaneous spellcaster, much like the Sorcerer and the Bard. Additionally, one of these 2 apparitions is going to be your primary apparition, which is going to give you a unique Living Vessel focus spell. And if you've spent those focus points, when you refocus, you can actually swap your primary between the 2 apparitions you've attuned to that day. So you can see by their spell progression that they have a baseline number of spell slots that they can just cast themselves, and then plus extra spell slots from their apparition. There are 10 apparitions to pick from in War of Immortals, so you'll be able to mix and match any of those you need to use for the day ahead. A very interesting take on a spontaneous caster that still benefits from some preparation without going quite as heavy as like a wizard's preparation. Very cool overall, and obviously a lot deeper than I've made it sound here today, but that'll be for my Animist class guide down the line. The second class in War of Immortals is the Exemplar, which is basically a mortal which has been touched by divine energy in a way that's different from Mythic. Trust me, we'll get to Mythic. Basically, a spark of divine power lives within you, and you can transfer it between your different icons. There are 3 different types of icons: weapon icons, worn icons, and body icons, with worn icons basically being your armor, and body icons being, well, your body. And each of these have a passive and an active effect. As long as your spark of divine energy is transferred to an icon, you begin gaining its passive effect as long as it is there. However, you can also transcend your icon, activating its powerful activated ability, but then being forced to transfer your divine spark to a different icon. You can also spend an action to transfer the divine spark without activating the icon, but typically their general rotation is going to be bouncing and activating their icons back and forth for whatever the situation calls for. For example, if your divine spark is currently in your Gleaming Blade weapon icon, then its passive imminence is active, dealing 2 bonus spirit damage per weapon damage die on all successful attacks. Or you can spend 2 actions to transcend that Gleaming Blade and make 2 strikes at your current multiple attack penalty, add the damage together, and deal it all as one big hit, not increasing your multiple attack penalty until after the attack is resolved. Additionally, all damage dealt by this weapon is converted to spirit damage for that attack. But remember, when you do this, that divine spark is going to leave your Gleaming Blade and go into one of your other icons, which will need to either be activated to move it back to your blade or manually moved with the action. The Exemplar grows a lot as a class, especially as they gain their epithets, but you're just gonna have to wait for the Exemplar class guide for me to go over those to tell you exactly what they do. The next chapter, called Servants of Power, is all of the new Nephilim lineages for all different types of interplanar beings. It's not just Aasimar and Tieflings, or whatever they were called nowadays. There's more to it. This is where we see the return of the remastered versions of things like the Aphorites and the Ganzi. We also obviously get the multi-class archetypes of the Exemplar and the Animist, and a bunch of brand new class archetypes that we haven't seen before, like the Avenger, Blood Rager, Seneschal, Vindicator, and Warrior of Legend. These, again, are not normal archetypes that anybody can take, but rather they are alternate versions of classes that only members of specific classes can take, only at level 1. What do? Stick around, I got a lot of videos to make in the next couple months. But let's get into what everyone's really here for. Chapter 3, Myths and Legends. What is Mythic? How does it work? What does it mean? Well, I'll give you a brief overview here in this video, but the first video on my list of things to make is an overall explanation of the Mythic System in Pathfinder 2e. So stick around for that to come, but for now, here's the basics. Mythic is a brand new variant rule very similar to Free Archetype. Starting at level 1, you will gain a calling. There's a bunch of different callings, and they all do pretty much the same thing. They allow you to use Mythic proficiency to make specific types of skill checks, and the first time per day that you critically succeed one of those skill checks, you gain a Mythic point. Mythic points are new hero points. In fact, if you are playing with the Mythic rules, you no longer get hero points, you only get Mythic points. And the main purpose of these points, obviously, is to activate your Mythic abilities, and especially at low levels, namely Rewrite Fate. This allows you to, whenever you make a skill check or saving throw and you're not happy with the result, you get to re-roll it with Mythic proficiency. And Mythic proficiency is exactly what it sounds like. It is one step above Legendary. Remember, Legendary is +8, Mythic is +10. So if you make a Fortitude save and you're only trained in that at level 1 and you roll, I don't know, a 6 + 5 for 11, well, guess what? You get to re-roll that. And now you're rolling with a whatever, 10+ Constitution plus your level. Basically, especially at low levels, that means you're gonna succeed instead. Now at low levels, you're probably only going to use your Mythic points to save yourself or ensure certain skill checks succeed, but as you level up at every even level, you're going to get brand new feats just like you do with Free Archetype. You get a completely extra feat that does not take your class feat, and it doesn't even take your Free Archetype feat. Shut up, I'm talking. In fact, you can technically play with both Free Archetype and Mythic, meaning that every 2 levels you get 3 different feats. And, as to be expected, most of these feats do require spending a Mythic point to activate. So, what's interesting about the Mythic rules is that they don't just passively make your character way stronger. Rather, they give you a limited resource you can spend to momentarily become Mythic. Now, I've got some opinions on these Mythic feats, especially the low-level ones. Why does Binds That Tie need somebody else to be grappling a target when you grapple them to work? But I'll get to that when I go over my low-level Mythic feat video. Because yes, there's enough content here that low-level Mythic and high-level Mythic have to be separate videos. In fact, high-level Mythic is probably gonna be like 3 different videos. There is a lot to this system, y'all. Once you reach level 12, you receive a Destiny, one of 9 different Destinies that all function basically exactly like an archetype. They come with a dedication, and after taking that dedication, you can start taking feats from that archetype, quote-unquote, that Destiny, as long as you are of that feat's level or higher. There are 9 unique Destinies to pick from, each of which have about 15 feats you can choose from over the course of 10 levels. So levels 12, 14, 16, etc., all of them come with at least like 2 to 4 options every single time. So it's clear Paizo put a lot of work and effort into the paths to immortality, the Destinies. That is where you will get the most meat out of this book. Now, some of you might already have the problem that I had when I first read this, and that is, why do these amazing Mythic abilities have to be saved for endgame? Why can't we get a Destiny before level 12? Well, good news. Good official news from Paizo. Paizo has released alternate mythic rules where they are no longer connected to your character level, but rather connected to a sort of campaign milestone system known as mythic trials. You, as the GM, determine different parts of the story as mythic trials, and every so many trials the party accomplishes, they gain the next mythic tier. Upon reaching new mythic tiers, it's as though they reached the next even level of character progression when they would normally gain mythic abilities, but it's no longer tied to your level. So if you want your campaign to go on longer and you don't want to level up super fast, but you still want to give your party access to those higher level mythic abilities, hey, they could reach mythic tier whatever, mythic tier 5, which is equal to character level 10, but they might only be character level 4 or 6, or however fast you want to advance them. It caps out at mythic tier 10, which is the equivalent of a level 20 character, and the entire extra document that I hope they'll release with War of Immortals or add into the War of Immortals official release. I don't quite know how it's gonna go, but I really much prefer these alternate rules, allowing you to progress your party based on their accomplishments rather than just their mechanical numerical character level. The final two chapters are pretty self-explanatory, Mythic Vault and Mythic Monsters. In the Mythic Vault, you are getting access to all kinds of mythic equipments, including +4 mythic striking weapons, which deal 5 weapon damage dice with an inherent +4 to hit, as well as the same bonus for armor with their armor class and saving throw bonuses. You've got mythic spells, which deal massive effects, but also typically require a mythic point to activate, if not always requiring a mythic point, as well as mythic rituals. Basically, every single aspect of this game has gotten a mythic treatment, and that is including monsters. Now, this is not a mythic bestiary, though I would love for them to release one of those some days. That would be phenomenal. But Mythic Monsters basically gives you a template you can apply to any monster that you want to turn mythic, which is kind of cool. You know, if you want the party's level 1 mythic trial to be dealing with a random goblin bandit who has found themselves with mythic powers, that's a really fun idea, and you can use the template to make that goblin mythic. And if you do and they beat it, that could consider it a mythic trial to advance them. There's also examples throughout the book. You know, you've got a mythic griffin, you've got a mythic ogre chief, as well as some named and very lore-heavy mythic BBEGs, such as Demon Lord Vulat. Obviously, as typical with my videos, I'm not going to go into those because that's the lore. If you want the lore, you buy the book. I'm here to help you figure things out mechanically. I'm not here to read you a bedtime story. So, I hope that was a decent overview of what you're getting out of War of Immortals. Honestly, mechanically speaking, this is one of the densest books we've gotten in a long time. I think it's even more dense than Rage of Elements was last year. I think this is a phenomenal one. I've got some opinions, but you're gonna have to watch the appropriate videos to get those opinions, whether it be on archetypes or the Mythic System or the new classes themselves. So, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, shout out to all the members of the No Nat One's Patreon for continuing to support me. I hope you're looking forward to the War of Immortals content as much as I am. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, No Nat Ones.